Yeah.
It's your contract.
Yeah.
It's your contract you sent to us. You're telling me you don't have a copy of your own contract?
Which tells you what kind of fucking investigation did
know.
they actually
Well,
do.
look, when they started their investigation, according to Rich's timeline in his letter, I think it was September 6th, September 8th, they put the freeze on your account.
Yes.
What kind of event? And then, like, that's an investigation?
Yeah. These text messages
Yeah.
come to light, and Daryl's crawling up their ass about it, that they're like, you know what, well, let's pull back this invoicing issue and fire them for that.
Because we promised to take this case and treat it with significance and come in good faith. And we are here in good faith. And these are decision makers that we have involved. And that's why we asked Judge Del Campo here. Because we believe that Judge Del Campo, as you know, has always been a straight shooter. Sometimes not to my benefit when he sat on the bench. I would think I was going with somebody I knew and I would get hit a little harder than I wanted to, because that's how Judge Del Campo is. He'll tell us when we're right, and he'll tell us where we're wrong, and he'll also tell us that you're rolling the dice.
Don't you touch my camera. Yeah. Don't you touch my camera. I want him arrested. Hey, now he's on me. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Great day, folks. You've reached another installment of KingCast Corruption Meets Camera. And in this episode, which is going to be available on VH2 networks, and of course on my blog, Chris King's First Amendment page, you'll be able to see how in an age where LeBron James became the first person or entity to produce a video about Madam C.J. Walker, you're going to find out about a black blended family, much like the Brady Bunch, who established, or were on their way to establishing, a small empire dealing with high quality hair products, and how Walmart stiffed them at every opportunity. And eventually Walmart at some point decided on a mediator, and then disregarded the evaluation of the mediator. Yeah. And then disregarded the evaluation of the mediator. Yeah. The mediator came back at $185,000 for this discrimination, and then they just walked away and ghosted. So folks, I've been making videos for a long time, since the 90s, like 22 or 3 years ago. My own cases were involved back in the day. I was winning civil rights trials, and it's all on video. And so I do videos that are always lawful, but that obviously upset some people, as you saw this raging maniac that we're still in a federal court case about now. I remember back in the day, the heinousness of this case reminds me of one I had with a company called AirTouch and Cellular One. And I believe they may have been blended into Verizon later. But a U.S. veteran by the name of Gregory Boatwright and I sued AirTouch after he was made to get back on the phone with someone who had called him a nigger. And it took me 1.5 years in federal court to get this guy a 1.5 years salary. It was unbelievable. And this case is just as heinous. I could tell you more right now, but I don't want to ramble. But essentially, this family had established a hair care line. They were denied acceptance into the major platform, so they had to build up their empire store by store, which they did. They were in 80 stores, more than 80 stores. And they have great relationships with many of these stores. However, when they got to store 301 in Gadsden, Alabama, the manager of that store didn't have time for them. Daryl got a very bad vibe from him, and thank you, Pepper. My dog is eating. So, Daryl got a very bad vibe from him, and he told Lisa about it, his wife, and it turns out that they had been having problems for a while with invoicing, and they corrected all these issues. And then eventually, they met with the assistant manager in the Gadsden store, and 2 days later, they got very racist, threatening emails, which you'll see throughout this video. And Walmart conducted no investigation, really. I mean, 2 days later, they terminated the contract. And the local police, who may be sued as well, they abdicated their authority to Walmart and said, well, Walmart is going to be investigating this. So they abdicated their authority to a civil defendant that is now ignoring a $185,000 recommendation from the mediator that they chose. I can't say any more about this. Just watch. And welcome back to KingCast. Corruption meets camera.
I'm going to step in here for a
Yes,
second,
sir.
too. There's all this stuff about, well, you can't prove it was from a Walmart employee. There's a hell of a lot of smoke here. They did an investigation. All the triplets ever got was, we're handling it internally. And
The investigation is closed.
yeah, they at least
But
would
they
know.
still have at least
Yeah.
one Walmart employee on those text
Yeah,
messages.
and that's the thing that is.
And it doesn't matter because he engages in protected activity by complaining about it. So as soon as he does that, I don't really care. Because the next thing that comes is they get terminated.
Only a few days after, and this is relevant, only a few days after they get their heads chopped off by Walmart, Joni Owen, who is one of the people on that text exchange, out of the blue just texts Daryl this smiley face.
Right after they get terminated.
I mean, there's no other reason why she would do that, other than certainly the inference is, I'm gonna rub your nose in it. And seriously, a jury is gonna love these folks. They are really going to be likable people that a jury is gonna glom onto.
The main issue of whether or not they retaliate against you for doing protected activity, which
That's
is
where the
complaining
timing comes
about.
in.
Right. And so I do think it does matter who sent, at least from a 30,000 feet up, who sent it, because if it's a Walmart employee, then they're done. They're done. I mean, obviously that would be bad. Now, you know, that is a valid point. Regardless of who sent it, you know, he complained about it,
Yeah.
right? And so let's see what they have to say. Sure.
Okay.
Where they start.
The damages kind of are what they are. They had Hair 911. They were blowing up with Walmart. Walmart terminated the contract. It was absolutely financially devastating to them. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but mostly we're going to be talking about liability and why we think this case is going to go to a jury. So, and why we think this case is going to go to a jury. So, as far as the claims, getting the legal stuff out of the way, it's a discriminatory and retaliatory businesses practices argument claim against Walmart. You've seen the racially abusive and threatening text messages that Daryl received. We strongly believe those are from a Walmart employee. We'll be able to at least prove that up. Walmart's response of firing the triplets as a vendor shortly thereafter, even after Daryl was trying to do what he could, and you know, the last ditch was reaching out to the board and saying, what's going on with this? What's going on with our business? What's going on with the investigation? And you know, a week later, the contract gets terminated. So these are going to be federal claims. There's also going to be attendant state law claims, and that's what we're going to talk about. So first of all, before we get back into the legal weeds, this is Daryl and Lisa Triplett. Daryl is a 25-year cop up in Ohio and then down here in Fulton County. He actually ran for Fulton County Sheriff. He is a stand-up comedian when he's not trying to be a businessman. Officer, keep it real. So he's kind of the, I don't want to say the mouth, but the front man.
Lisa's nodding, yeah.
And then Lisa, as you probably can already pick up on, Lisa's the quiet, cerebral, no offense to you, Daryl, but she's the idea person. She's the entrepreneur. She came from literally nothing and has all of these wonderful business ideas, one of which was to sell quality human hair extensions at an affordable price point, and then Walmart was a natural partner that they wanted to pursue. This is a family affair. This is their family. I mean, this is who a jury is going to see. They've got we asked them if they would be offended if we referred to them as this. They're the Black Brady Bunch. They've got a blended family. They actually have 10 kids. 2 of them are not in the picture.
God bless you.
Right?
And they have come from very humble beginnings, and especially when they got the deal with Walmart, they're kind of the American success story. They're who we all admire and look up to in this country. I think Walmart's purported reason why they terminated the contract was invoicing discrepancies, which no offense, that's code word for you guys are thieves. And this is not what thieves do. They're not out there busting their butts and putting product on the shelves. And that's what a jury's going to see. They're going to see these folks doing stuff like this. And they went and grew their business, and they went to 89 stores. That is not via phone calls or emails or whatever. That's Daryl driving to Walmart stores and meeting with store managers and getting those products on the shelves. So that shows what.
Yeah, and Your Honor, if it's okay, I do want to just ask a follow-up question, just for clarity. You said at the outset you weren't treated fairly because you were put in the multicultural hair care products kind of product line. Is that what you were saying?
That's one of the things, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that I wasn't, it was them.
Right.
Honestly, yeah.
Right.
So they start putting their products in stores, it sells, they keep growing, they have a buyer who's working with them, then that buyer gets transferred. They don't get replaced. They're trying to figure out how to make things happen. Actually, there's predating, emails from early 2018, from 2017, where Lisa is approaching Walmart and saying, hey, this store is saying that they have a code 25 on this. We've given them the product. Here's the proof of service. Now they want to like back charge us for it. Like, what's going on here? So what I would say about in a nutshell about the invoicing issue is we have a lot of evidence. We're not going to get into it all right here because I want, we'll get into it in caucus. It's going to show that this invoicing issue, it's a red herring at best, and at worst, that, this is something that Walmart, unfortunately, bears some, if not all, of the blame for with the confusion. I was thinking about it, and this shows how old I am. I think it's kind of like the old Charlie Brown and Lucy thing, where, they're Charlie Brown and Walmart can be Lucy. Don't be offended, please. But this is how they felt. This is, what can we do to rectify this? Okay, send your resubmit the invoice. One person tells them resubmit the invoice. Then another person says, no, you can't do that. You've double invoiced us. Like, okay, what do we need next? Well, ship it this way to Walmart, and then it gets rejected. No, you need to ship it this way. Like, they're constantly trying. Every time they try, they feel like the ball gets pulled away. And timing is important in this, and I have to mention this a little bit. I believe the date that Walmart froze their vendor account was, I believe, September 6th or 7th, 2018. So we then have close to 3 months before Daryl gets the racially abusive text messages. We've got a good long time, and they've frozen the account, and they're not doing anything on it, or at least for the triplets, as far as what's going on with their account. Backstory before we have these horrible text messages. Their account is frozen. Daryl is still out there hustling. He's still going to stores. He's trying to get, he's trying to onboard stores. So he goes to store 301, Gadsden, Alabama, is going to try to meet with the store manager, John Carroll, I believe is his name, and one of the assistants, Joni Owen. And I don't know, Carroll decided he didn't want to meet with Daryl, so Joni handles it. There's not many people who know about this meeting. Daryl exchanges cell phone numbers with Joni. Didn't exchange it with anyone else. Joni is on the text messages. It says unknown name, and I know that you mentioned that a lot. Well, you don't say it's a Walmart person. It can't be anyone other than a Walmart person. Those are the only folks who know about this. And why do people send, why do people go
Why do people discriminate in employment? I mean, if I knew the answer to that and could fix it, I would.
Why does
Who knows why they do those things?
Other than, and I hate to say, it's just blatant racism. That's the only thing I can think of. And that's what he's dealing with.
Can we go home this house? I
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank everybody for coming today. And And Michael is an excellent lawyer. We've had several discussions. Truly believes in the case. He set out the case in the letter to us that we were able to evaluate. And I want you all to know that we take this very, very, it's an important case and significant to us, which is why Robert has come out from Walmart on a very tight schedule, as you might imagine, from plane to plane, because we promised to take this case and treat it with significance and come in good faith. And we are here in good faith, and these are decision makers that we have in Walmart. Text messages. Walmart's core values include diversity, includes acceptance, multiculturalism, etc. We don't see multicultural as a bad word at all. In fact, it's what we pride ourselves on. And that's why we asked Judge Del Campo here, because we believe that Judge Del Campo, as you know, has always been a straight shooter, sometimes not to my benefit when he sat on the bench. I would think I was going with somebody I knew and I would get hit a little harder than I wanted to, because that's how Judge Del Campo is. He'll tell us when we're right, and he'll tell us where we're wrong, and he'll also tell us that you're rolling the dice. When we looked at your letter, it took a while to respond. And it took a while to respond because we just didn't rifle off a response. We denied, go file your lawsuit, etc. When we saw those text messages, we wanted to treat them as a significant issue. So we went back and talked to our investigative teams, talked to the legal teams, talked to Robert, talked to everybody involved, etc. And I think we can boil down our issues on this side of the table on a very few points. The first one is, we don't believe those text messages were sent by anybody from Walmart. And if you all have any evidence whatsoever to suggest that a Walmart employee or executive sent those text messages, we would love to see that today, because that helps us evaluate this side of the case. So as an initial step and burden in your case is that Walmart did something wrong. There's a discriminatory act by Walmart. The police investigated this. Our people talked to the police about this. We opened up a formal investigation and performed interviews. There were forensics done. There were all types of things done by the police. No one could figure out who was sending those text messages from that cell phone. And so that's the initial hump that I think we need to get through today, is we're sitting here looking at these text messages and we hate them as much as you do. But those text messages, to me, when I read them, have nothing to do with business. It looks like a relationship gone wild. Some third party out there who's upset, who sent these text messages to you and probably other people. And so we don't believe that Walmart has sent those text messages, and we need you to help us when you said that there's evidence that it could be Collins or it could be somebody else. We would love to review that, because it would affect our evaluation. The police, I think, closed their investigation even prior than we did, because they couldn't figure out what was going on. And you know that because that's your business, right? I mean, you understand that there was an investigation open, you talked to the police, they couldn't figure out who it was. The second issue we're having with the case is that even if that was a Walmart employee, this invoice issue had nothing to do with these text messages. The invoice investigation was performed prior to the text being received. What we're telling you, and we have all of the people at Walmart to support this, is that that investigation was totally independent of anything related to these text messages or the separate investigation into the text messages. We still need those proof of delivery. So if you have evidence today that can suggest to us or prove to us, here are the things you said weren't delivered, and here's proof that we delivered them, that would help our analysis of this case. This is all perspective, and this is where this case is difficult. We weren't trying to destroy your business. We weren't trying to destroy you. And I know you see that settlement, which is a walk away, as, oh, there's some type of temporal proximity, you were trying to get rid of them. We were trying to end the relationship because you hadn't provided proof of the deliveries without suing you all for the $534,000 that was outstanding. You all see that as temporal proximity. We see that as trying not to destroy their business and allow them to move on. And so there's a divergence of perspectives, which is why we need Judge Del Campo.
No, just to tell you, so I head up our commercial class action litigation team. This is the first mediation that I've attended in 2 years. Typically my team would go. When I saw the text messages, I thought it was very important for me to come out so you can understand how significant and how seriously we take these things, okay? The most important salient point is we see them as two separate issues, okay? The invoicing versus the text messaging, and Rich just laid that out perfectly, and I'm not gonna get into that, but it was important for me to come out and tell you guys personally how significant this is to Walmart, and we take these things seriously. Hopefully we can come to some resolution today as we discuss and we get into caucus, but the most important thing was me, I respect your counsel, but I want to look you guys in the face, okay? And tell you I'm here for a reason to resolve this in a way it makes sense with both of us. And so hopefully we can proceed in a way that's amicable, that's respectful. The reason why I'm out here is to make sure that that's conveyed, okay?
Okay. There has been a demand, as I understand, is that correct?
Yep.
And is that the $2,064,000, I think it was?
You know, I don't really care who sent the text messages, honestly. There's at least one Walmart employee on there. It happened right after he left the store. And
you know, one thing, I'm going to cut in for a second. I didn't, and I had it in my notes, and I didn't because I got a little fired up. Only a few days after, and this is relevant, only a few days after they get their heads chopped off by Walmart, Joni Owen, who is one of the people on that text exchange, out of the blue just texts Daryl this smiley face.
right after they get terminated.
I mean, there's no other reason why she would do that other than certainly the inference is, I'm going to rub your nose in it. And we didn't talk about that, but it is something,
It certainly links it,
yeah.
you know? To me, it doesn't matter as much who sent that or why. It matters more Walmart's reaction to it. As soon as Daryl starts pushing, what is happening with this investigation? You know, from the time it happened till the time they terminated, Daryl is up their ass all the time. What is going on with this?
And he's going high up too.
Yeah, and so the fact that Walmart is then like, we can't deal with these people anymore. They're making too much noise. They say the investigation was opened before the texts were received. This issue of the invoices was going on for 1.5 years.
Right.
So you don't do anything for 1.5 years.
On the phone, I've been told that I sound white. You know, it's just the way I'm from Ohio. I'm a northern boy, right? And when I got there, and he's in the back storeroom, and they're hustling and they're bustling, he turns and he looks at me. And sometimes it's not what people say, it's just how they look, how they react. The persona that I got from him was that this was not all what I was expecting to see. I'm in a suit, a tie, regular, and he immediately tells me, he goes, I don't have time for you right now. I'm gonna give you to Joni. He calls on the walkie-talkie to Joni, and Joni comes up. He puts me in this other room with Joni. She comes in, she's nice enough. She's listening to what I have to say in my sales pitch or whatever. And I guess what I'm trying to say is this here. There were only 2 people in Walmart who knew I was there. Only 2 people out of probably the 2,000 something people that was in that store location that day, at that time, who knew what I looked like, who knew my ethnicity there. Only 2. That was the store manager, and that was Joni.
I don't care who, you know? He engages in the protected activity. He complains about it to Walmart. Then they finally
But then-
decide.
I didn't do much employment law on the state court bench. That's usually done in federal
Right,
law.
right.
But my understanding is once they give a racially neutral reason for the termination of the contract,
Exactly.
you have to, the burden then is back on you
To show
to prove
pretext.
that it's pretextual,
Yes.
right? And so if the investigation commenced before any of this protected activity
Right.
took place, how can you prove pretext?
Well, and that's what we were talking about. The pretext, there's temporal proximity. The case law is very clear. If you've got it close in time, that is a strong suggestion of
Look,
pretext.
if they would have
Right,
come,
but it started before.
the investigation did.
Yes.
But here's the thing, that's what, it's almost, the proximity of the complaint and the termination is relevant, but the lack of proximity of the invoicing issue is also just as relevant, because they had this going on for a long time.
Well, these text messages
Yeah.
come to light, and Daryl's crawling up their ass about it, that they're like, you know what, well, let's pull back this invoicing issue and fire them for that. Let's get it
But when
at
they
least a jury issue,
Yeah.
for a jury to decide. Did they really terminate them for the invoicing? Or did they terminate them because Daryl was being a pain in Walmart's ass about those text messages? So it doesn't matter to me who sent the messages, and I think we get to a jury all day long on the pretext.
Would you, that they had the right to terminate them regardless? I mean, let's assume no texts were ever sent.
Well, that depends.
I think that's another jury issue, because I think what Lisa and Daryl, I know what they'll say is, Walmart was in doing this investigation, but there were certainly errors that Walmart did. That's what I
I
was trying to
contacted them
refer to.
before any of this happened. I saw the issues before it got that bad. I was emailing accounts payables, the buyer we were supposed to have, the retail link thing. I have emails to where I've been asking these questions for months and nobody responded to me.
They just ignored us. They just wiped us off as if it was nothing.
They could terminate you at any time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not like you have a contract for 2 years or to sell a certain
Correct.
amount of
Yes.
hair,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
yeah.
Now, one of
But
the
they can't
things-
terminate them in retaliation
Yeah.
for them complaining
Protected
about
activity.
discrimination.
And you know, one of the things that's kind of bubbling around here, you didn't want to be too disrespectful, with the Walmart folks in the room, but what Daryl is saying is, they get this treatment. This is this company, they sign a contract with them, and then Walmart doesn't even have the contract. The triplets are the ones having to say, here's
They
our
don't know
contract.
anything.
And
But no. This
They're
has
the
been
same
going
invoice.
on for a year and a half. This is the same invoice, the same product that they have already received a year and a half ago. So now they're coming back and saying, oh, so store 1, 2, 3 says they were missing 2 pieces of hair. Store 4, 5, 6 saying they're missing 2 pieces. Well, how do we know that? And we haven't even, and the hair that we got back is not the amount of hair that we got, but you're charging us the full amount for the hair. Then the security cases. So Walmart orders these security cases to put on the floor. Do you have a picture of the security cases there? See, this is what I'm talking about, the flagrant disregard for business. It doesn't make a difference if it's a minority business or any type of business. They're just this big conglomerate bully. We send these cases out to them. These cases cost us $800 that a piece that we sent out. They're security cases for them. The security cases that we get back from Walmart, they're tattered. They're ratted all up. They've been just abused. I'll let you see the pictures of them. What can we do with this? So again, it's the flagrant disregard. And they're like, oh, here's your stuff. So they're saying now, Your Honor, that, oh, well, you send us these proof of deliveries over. We did that. Then they said, oh, that proof of delivery is not good enough. It needs to be freight delivered. Oh, well, when were you going to tell us this in
But
almost
even
a year and a half?
even if we try to send it freight, the packages are so small, FedEx turns it into enough. They're like, why are you spending this much on freight when you're just, a little 35-pound box? They turns it to a ground shipment.
That's Lucy Heidenbach.
Right, but it really doesn't address the main issue of whether or not they retaliated against you for doing protected activity, which
That's
is
where the
complaining
timing comes
about.
in.
Right. And so I do think it does matter who sent, at least from a 30,000 feet up, who sent it, because if it's a Walmart employee, then they're done. I mean, obviously that would be bad. Now, that is a valid point. Regardless of who sent it, he complained about it.
Yeah.
Right. And so let's see what they have to say. Sure.
Okay.
Where they start.
They need to see what we look like for real.
Oh, hell yeah, they do.
Because they might have this preconceived notion that we're just trying to get over on
Yeah.
someone, or we're, trying. I wouldn't go through all of this.
Now, can I ask you something else, because I'm not in your position? How do you feel about them
Sending a black
I knew
eye.
they were going to do that.
Of course, it's the practical
I knew they were gonna do that.
bullshit protocol. Send a black
what they did
attorney.
with us before.
Send a black attorney to smooth them, to look them right in the eye.
Who's
and
the
say,
whitest black attorney, right?
That I've ever seen in my life. Right?
Yeah.
And he's also the head of class action.
Right? I thought that too. I'm like, bullshit. That means what he's saying is that lawyer doesn't handle these cases.
Right.
They pulled him from another department of their legal and said, okay, black man, go fly down
That's
there and
right.
talk to these people.
That's right. Go
That's
deal
exactly what I
with your
thought when I
people
saw
down there. Make them feel happy. Make this go away. And no doubt they'll give us a bullshit settlement. I believe they're going to start off with a bullshit settlement.
They better put some money on the table and show us that they are here in good faith.
Right.
So you may
You
want to
guys did a wonderful job,
You
by the way.
did. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you did a great.
Yeah, Mike.
I
Yes,
just,
you
I was,
did.
well, thank
Mike,
you, but I was
I said,
rambling.
Jesus,
No,
this
you
dude-
weren't.
you weren't.
No, you weren't. That was
You
perfect.
did excellent.
That was
Yes.
You fucking
perfect.
did excellent.